Hi family, it's Teresa with the Shaman's Dream Project, and today I would like to share some more information with you about rituals and how we create our reality. So for anyone that would like to know more about the rituals, like what is a ritual, and what are some more of common rituals that we participate in, you can refer to my series called Holidays and Holy Days. And I also did a couple of videos, although I don't recall the name of the video, but I think one was called the Corona Game. There's a series called the Corona Game as well. I think it's in part 6 or part 7 that I talked about rituals and how they create our reality. So if you want to check those out, feel free. If not, that's fine too. I'm just here to share a different perspective, and if it resonates with anybody, then it's my honor to share that. And whenever you're ready, family, to change your perspective, most welcome to help us manifest a different reality. But so I just wanted to touch briefly on, without turning this into the Corona, another part in the Corona Game series, I just wanted to reiterate that Corona is the Spanish word for crown, and that refers to your crown chakra, and that is the gem that is under siege. Like, it's like the fortress that's under siege to try to take this crown, this crown chakra, this source connection, this thing that connects us to the center of our universe and beyond, to the Great Spirit, to our memory of the lifetimes that we've had on this planet and the lessons that we've learned as a result. So it's a pretty big deal to have this crown chakra. The human race is very fortunate indeed to have this technology, if you will. But it makes us very, very powerful, because we are directly connected to the source of that which created everything, right? And so we have that power, and that power is much sought after by other entities that don't actually have that same connection that we have. So that's why it's called the Corona virus, they call it, or actually, and then they stopped calling it that. I don't know how many months ago they started referring to, like, interchanging the coronavirus for another word they call COVID, which is actually an acronym for an agenda of the Certificate of Vaccination ID. So, but the more that they get us to see this word, to repeat this word, to hear and talk about this word, then we get more power to that agenda. Unwittingly, of course, but nonetheless we do. So insofar as, like people quote unquote waking up and the veil being lifted, and like the line being drawn, not the line in the sand that can be erased, but the line in the stone that cannot and will not be moved, like that last straw. Like, you're not going to push it any further than that before the animal comes out of the corner. The most timid and docile of all animals is going to come out of the corner and fight back, because it's do or die. So as we approach this juncture, we will see more folks kind of waking up and starting to question the validity of this so-called dangerous virus that's so dangerous you have to go get tested to see if you have it. So as that shift takes place, as people get pushed to a point where they are forced to question the status quo or question the so-called authority, question whether or not we should delegate the responsibility for our own health to, health ministers and I forget all the names that they call these people who work in the departments of health. But if you want to just see something funny, you can do a search online for Belgium's health minister and Canada's health minister, and I think there's a couple others around the world, but just like whatever country or state or whatever you happen to live in, do like a search and then pull up images to see like what do these so-called health ministers look like, and it'll become pretty clear that those folks don't actually have any responsibility for their own health, let alone the health of everybody else. But so as we arrive at a point where we are collectively, the masses, like the majority of the folks, are willing to question that concept of delegating the responsibility for their health or their minds or anything to an outside organization, and to take back that sovereignty of governing our own minds and making our own decisions about how we're going to educate our children and whether or not we're healthy or what we do for our health, what we do for so-called health care, etc. So long term is the hospitals and all this petrochemical industry will be out of our reality soon. It's just inevitable because it's a system that's based on lies, and during this time, this apocalypse, we're like all the lies are going to be exposed. So the things that are built on these foundations of deception, you could call them, are going to come crumbling down. So today, when I was on my walk, I came across these two trees that had originally been growing side by side, but then at some point they decided to come together and they wove together like this spiral shape going all the way up to the top. And I looked around and I noticed the other trees that had not done so had succumbed to the weight and the gravity that is, because they were all on this hill, and so they were all like falling down, eventually, because the water erodes the hill further and further, and the soil, gets thinner and thinner, and eventually they just kind of fall towards gravity. And these two trees were so smart, they were like, let's team up and intertwine ourselves and become one, so we're stronger that way. So that's a really good message from the trees to us, I feel, is to remind us that a house divided cannot stand. A division that is within ourselves and the separation that took place many years ago, when we decided to kind of go on this, well, we don't really need nature. Nature's just here for us to use. It's and if we pollute the environment, we'll just dump more chemicals into the environment to clean up the germs and the viruses that we create with all the pollution, or rather that we invite with all the pollution. So that division within ourselves is first and foremost, and then how is that manifested in the outside world? Well, you can see, there's black and there's white and there's I don't know, Democrat and Republican, and there's like all this friction going on, right, between the parties that decide to divide themselves. And the tree was a really good reminder today to me to share. So I wanted to share that with you, and then also wanted to just speak briefly about how energy works with our rituals that we participate in. Now, if you're interested to learn more about rituals and where they come from and how our participation in them supports certain agendas, you can have a look at my series called The Holly Days versus Holy Days, which it doesn't cover all of the holidays, but it's a good majority of them. And I, if it resonates with you, family, to consider that it might be time to change your perspective and see things from a different point of view, then I would encourage you to have a look at that series. Also, you can refer to, if you'd like to know more about rituals as they pertain to like what's going on in the world right now with this corona game, you can refer to my series called The Corona Game, and I can't remember which part. It's like a 7-part series, but it's I talk a little bit in there about the rituals. So basically, yes, everybody's waking up, everybody's reaching their line that they won't draw again in the sand, but they're reaching that point where no matter how docile or how timid or how afraid they feel inside, like once you start talking about mandatory vaccinations, like that's body sovereignty. That's for most people, that's usually kind of where they draw the last line. And so, I kind of see, as far as the world writ large is concerned, a little different on the Eastern Hemisphere, but for the most part on the Western Hemisphere, I see about 60 to 75%, maybe more. It's growing by the day, but at least that much I see as far as people waking up and saying, and beginning to question this whole narrative and this whole thing about the corona game. But we still continue to see the agenda unfolding with more lockdowns and more curfews and more shutting down of small businesses and more brutalizing people in the streets and locking and kicking doors down and arresting people for not wearing a mask, or for doing a live stream on YouTube talking about the dangers of vaccinations or whatever the case is. So why is that? Like, how can, even though the majority of the consciousness is onto this, they're onto this, like they know this is a game, but why does the agenda continue to unfold despite the fact that the majority of people know it's a hoax, right? Because of rituals, essentially. So the first ritual is the ritual of the word. So it went from the coronavirus, and again, this is a big clue for us, corona is crown in chakra, and corona is crown in Spanish, which refers to the crown chakra, or the chakra that connects you to the source of of everything, right? So it makes you a co-creator. That's a very valuable resource to have, and it's much sought after by entities. There are entities in this realm that do not have that connection to source, and they really envy that. So they're wanting to come for that, right? So they're letting us know straight off the bat when they started this nonsense a little over a year ago, that's what their end objective was. But then a little bit down the ways, we changed the name, or the name began to be interchanged with another name that they gave us, and that was called COVID, which is actually an acronym which stands for Certificate of Vaccination ID. So it's the agenda to get everybody vaccinated and to say you can't travel, you can't work, you can't shop, you can't do this, you can't participate in society at all unless you have this card that says you've been vaccinated. Or this ID, rather, that says you've been vaccinated. Um, but they started to change the word out and get everybody to start saying that word and seeing that word. So through the senses, through the five senses, the seeing, the hearing, and the speaking, just those three, then we can give it more power by way of the word COVID, right? So that's the power that we're lending right there. It's good to have, maybe just call it for what it is, spell out the acronym, Certificate of Vaccination ID. And no, I do not comply. I will not comply with that. I do not agree with that. Or, you could give it some other little funny nickname, like Jeff Berwick does one called COVIDs, and I've heard a bunch of them. I can't remember what and all they are, but, just something other than the word that they gave us to use. Try that and see how that makes you feel. And then also the physical rituals of, I don't believe in this coronavirus. I don't believe in any of this. I think we're being hoodwinked. I think there's a bigger plan, and this is just like the cover story for it. So if you're feeling like that, but at the same time you get up and go into work, or you go into the shopping center, or you go into whatever public office, and you take your face diaper and you put it on, or when they offer you the hand gel and you stick your hand out and take it, or use some of your own, these are actions, right? When you stand on that X that tells you where to stand, that's another action. When you go in the door that says enter only, and out the door that says exit only, these are all actions. So they're saying, this is my agenda, and these are the actions that are part of the agenda. They're like, these are the requirements. So stand in this place, use the hand gels, put on your face diapers. What's some other ones? Exit this way, enter that way. I've seen some like black mats in front of the store. I noticed that throughout Mexico. Like, if you step in this mat, you have to step in this mat of water, like, because there's COVIDs on your shoes. Whatever, but it's all rituals. So if we wonder why the agenda still continues to unfold with more lockdowns, with more small business closure, with more curfews and more restrictions, and taking away freedom, and more legislation being passed to take away our ability to fight back or to defend ourselves if we have to with violence, to strip away our freedoms. Although it's a non-player for me, because government never gave me my freedoms, so they can't take them away. But that's just the way I feel about it. I know a lot of people believe that the Constitution guarantees their rights, and that's not the case at all. The only thing that's going to guarantee your rights is you standing up and putting your foot down and saying, no, you will not violate my rights. There's no piece of paper that's going to do that. And that goes for the Magna Carta too. So it's we who are responsible. It's we who are powerful. And when we give our power away to this agenda with our rituals, with our thoughts, with our actions, with our deeds, every time we see the word, if we are not aware of it, but we are either being programmed with the agenda, or we are acting in ways to support the agenda. And if we want to do that collectively, and we do want to usher in transhumanism, and we do want an actual zombie apocalypse, and we do want to see the Hunger Games meets the Minority Report, and we do want to see 99.99999% of the planet living on less than 10 cents a day with their universal basic income that they receive on a chip that they got in their vaccination. If that's what humanity truly desires, as far as being the infinite consciousness that just wants to explore itself and see what it's capable of, if that is the desire of the collective, then so be it. I cannot sit here and pretend to know the mind of God. I cannot pretend to know the mind of 8 billion gods and goddesses on the planet, like they're all sparks of the divinity. They're all the same source consciousness that wants to see, what can I create, and be it good or bad or anywhere in between. It's no judgment, right? It's just the exploration. So if it is humanity's desire to explore that route to that degree, then so be it. If it's in divine order, and I believe everything is in divine order. So I'm not here to like get on one side of the fence or the other and try to, be that one that says, just wake up everybody, can't you see what's going on? I'm not here to force the butterfly out of the cocoon, right? It has to come out on its own. And if I try to interfere with that process, then I am interfering with free will, and that makes me, complicit. It makes me, somebody who's violated the one and only law of the universe, which is don't violate free will. So, but on the other hand, if it's not in the collective consciousness to take this exploration to this next level, and we do want to have like a world with a monetary system that's not fiat, that's not based in Babylonian cursed fake money systems. If we do want to see a world where there's a choice of markets to go to besides just getting all your stuff from Amazon, and I think even the Walmarts and stuff will be closed at some point, so to just be only on Amazon. And if we do want to see like a world where our children don't have, and we don't have to suffocate ourselves with face diapers to participate in society. If we want to create a world that's beautiful and safe, a safe place for our children to walk freely and to learn and have their life experience without, a jackboot on their neck. If that's what the collective wants, then so be that as well. And I'm just here to share with you that I feel that way as well. I feel like I am personally satisfied with the exploration of the depths of our depravity.